like trying to host the spaces at the same time. Okay, wait. My mic's running. Hermes, you can give a rundown of the book. I'm probably gonna mute it majority of the time. So I'll give somebody co-hosting privileges to let people talk.
Bro, I read this last week, so forgive me for this rundown. But basically, you have our favorite biracial siblings, the Kanes, right? So you have Carter and Sadie Kane. And so the deal is with Carter, he is the darker skinned of the siblings. He looks more like his dad, who is black, and his mom is white, and she has died, right? And at the very beginning of the book, we find out that Carter is the one who does all the traveling, spends the most time with his dad, and just lives like they're from originally LA, California, but like he does traveling with his dad because his dad is an Egyptologist. Sadie, however, lives with their white grandparents in Britain, and she only sees her dad and her brother once a year on Christmas Eve because, of course, the Fausts are demons and her grandparents are racist, okay? And so this particular night, like Carter notices that his father is acting more strange than usual. His father is typically a strange man, like a history buff, and he's used to weird situations happening. But this in particular has really he's really clocking that his dad seems to be nervous and anxiously anticipating something. And so he's on his way to his sister's grandparents' apartment, the normal routine. It's always kind of awkward because he doesn't really know his sister like that. He only really sees her once every year. And so while he's there, he spots that his dad is like he grabs Sadie, right? And for the first time, her dad doesn't typically take them out when he visits. They typically stay at the house or whatever, but he wants to go to the museum in order to see some kind of exhibit or something. So while Carter grabs Sadie, they notice that his dad is speaking to some strange man that he kind of remembers but doesn't really. And his dad is also holding a box, and they overhear a weird conversation going on between the two of them. And from then on, they know something is up. And so they go to the museum. At the museum curator is confused as to why Carter and Sadie are siblings. And Sadie gets annoyed by this fact, of course, which is always kind of annoying that nobody wants to address that they're siblings and that, Sadie's dad is her dad. And then after that, their dad warns them, oh, leave the room. I got business to handle, lock the curator in the closet, and literally just, it's really crazy, but the kids do it anyway, right? But they sneak back because their dad told them to stay where they are. They sneak back into the place and they're like, hey, let's go spy on dad and see what he's up to because they're worried about him. And so their dad, of course, has the Rosetta Stone in his hand and he's doing some kind of weird enchantment. They're confused at what's really going on here. And basically, the whole thing, the Rosetta Stone literally explodes and 5 entities get released. We come to realize later. So Osiris, Horus, Nephthys, I don't know how to pronounce her name, and Isis and someone else. And Set, of course, the main villain. Oh my God. So Set gets released. And so basically Set banishes Osiris / their dad, because their dad is Osiris's avatar, into this coffin thing. And he low-key threatens the kids, but then he gets chased away by the power of Sadie's necklace, which is really weird because it starts glowing. And then he's up and away. And then 2 magicians debate whether or not they should kill the kids, but they don't. So, and then after that, the police come, they get taken back to their grandparents' house, and they're basically getting interviewed, getting asked questions about what exactly went on, what exactly took place. And, Carter, of course, gets pulled to the side and questioned more. Sadie's a little bit irritated. She's like, why are they asking him so many questions? And of course she comes to realize that it's literal racism and she shouldn't be jealous of anything. And she goes off on the police, but then the strange man from earlier walks in and he kind of hypnotizes the police into kind of letting them go off to New York with him. He convinces the grandparents that they need to go with him now. And so they basically take this magical boat off to New York, right? They ride through the Duat to New York to the first gnome. I forgot what the heck it's called. Not the first gnome, it's not the first one, but the New York section of the House of Life, right? And so the big mansion is empty and he starts explain, he doesn't really explain anything. Nobody ever explains anything to the kids, okay? And so they walk into the house and then Like the first night, they're like, of course, tired. He gives them new clothes, which are all linen, and they basically like find out well, okay. Basically, during the night, Carter has a dream, right, in which he turns into a falcon and he visits Set. And Set is basically constructing this pyramid in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, to like harness his power and take over the world and become king of the gods or whatever. And, he relays this to Amos because he wakes up later than everyone else. And Amos is like, I got to figure out what's going on. So he leaves. And Carter and Sadie basically go into the library section of the house. And they figure out that both of their parents are descendants of pharaohs. Their mom, of course, is like a recent descendant. And their dad is like a further descendant. Like he's one of the oldest like pharaoh descendants, right? And that basically like they have strong connections to Horus and Isis, and like they see this little clay figurine that helps relay this information to them. And we also like along the line have found out that Sadie can somehow read hieroglyphics, which is really strange. And then of course they run out because these snake-like monster things are attacking the house, and they're like, what the heck? And they're scared for their lives because they don't know how to fight or anything. And so they're just sitting there watching as the magical barriers are like obviously weakened and the snakes are able to get inside. And so Khufu is all like, well, initially when the snakes initially came, Philip, the crocodile, fought them off, and they fell into the river. But they came back. So, and this time they really have no hope to save them. They have like the baboon, of course, Khufu, who is my favorite character, and they have their cat Muffin, and Muffin was a gift given by their father a long time ago, along with their amulets, or at least he gave it to Sadie in order to protect her or whatever. And so Khufu's like, Muffin, like, get Muffin. Muffin can save us, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's gesturing at Muffin. And so Sadie's all like, Muffin, protect us, blah, blah, blah. Nothing happens at first, but then Muffin transforms into Bass, the Egyptian goddess of cats. And so Bass fights off the little snake thingies, and she's like, we have to get the heck out of here because you are being chased and it's too dangerous to stay in the city. And so they make their way out of the mansion, and like, because there's no really protective barriers on the mansion anymore. They make their way out of the mansion and basically attempt to go through the city. They're being chased by these like men carrying this casket thingy to like try to trap them because that's Set send. They eventually like get away from those people. Like Bass ends up helping to fight them off, but then they get confronted by the goddess of scorpions. And so Bass is all like, I can handle this chick. You guys run off into the museum because they needed to get to a portal to get out of New York. And so the Carter and Sadie run off into a portal, leaving Bass to fight the scorpion goddess. And they meet, I forgot her name. Her name starts with a Z. I'm pretty sure. I think. They meet Zia. They meet Zia for the first time, and like Carter's smitten, Sadie is annoyed by Zia's mere presence for whatever reason, and Zia helps take down the scorpion goddess, who doesn't fully die when she takes her down, which she finds really, really strange. And then they portal to the first gnome in Egypt, where Zia is from and all of that. And so while they're there, they walk through like this giant hallway that relays the entire history of Egypt up until like the most recent rendition and how the fall of Egypt happened, all of the issues with the gods, things like that. They're told not to stare too hard at it, but they stare anyway. And it's like I think that's my favorite scene in the book, just relaying all that happened in ancient Egypt. And then they meet Iskandar and Djandar. I forgot, it's French. I don't know how to say it. They meet Iskandar. Iskandar seems more friendly to them than Djandar is. Djandar wants to kill them because he believes that they're housing the gods, specifically Isis and Horus. He's right, but he's a snake, so we don't care about him. Iskandar is all like, oh, just tell me what happened, children. They relate to him what happened, and they're like, okay, we have to test these children before like anything happens, before we make a decision on them. So they're told to like go to bed, and then the next morning they're supposed to wake up and get tested. But of course, Sadie don't take nobody seriously. So Sadie, of course, like doesn't go to bed with the rest of the kids and instead goes to Iskandar. And while she's there, they have a conversation about what's going on. and she tells him how she's been feeling and all this stuff. And then she has a dream in which she meets this handsome, like 16-year-old boy type dude for the first time, who she immediately has a crush on. But she also gets a vision of what happened with the gods previously, specifically Osiris and Isis and Set, and how Set had originally trapped Osiris in the first place. So we're getting hints of what's really going on, and how Iskandar warns her that history tends to repeat itself. The gods tend to repeat itself, and it's only when human intervention happens that the gods get the creativity to change their repeated patterns of history, right? And so she ends up going to bed, and then we also found out Carter did some stuff in the nighttime, but we don't find that out until later. So they wake up the next morning, Zia is there, and she's basically trying to teach them the basics of magic. She gives them a basic magician set, and they're people have different kinds of magic that they have affinity towards. She has fire magic or elemental magic. That's the magic she practices best, and she's we have to figure out how to practice your magic best. And so they've already shown capabilities that they're really, really good at very strong magic, even though it tires them out very quickly. And so she takes them and makes them fight each other, right, to this place, and makes them fight each other. They both end up possessing the avatars of Isis and Horus, right? Or Carter has Horus, and of course Sadie has Isis. And with that, Zia is shocked because now it's confirmed officially that they're housing the god, which is illegal for a House of Life magician to house a god. They've banned the usage of the gods completely. And so they're if they find this out, they're going to kill you. And then, someone informs Zia that Iskandar has died, which means Dijander has come into power. And with Dijander coming into power, that means officially these kids are going to be hunted down. So she helps them escape. She helps them open a portal to the nearest next magical place. And so they open a portal and land in Paris. And in Paris, they see Bast once again. And she's been able to locate them. And she's okay, we have to stop Set. They need to start on the trajectory to stop Set, because they're hoping to stop Set. Well, the main priority is them saving their father, right? That's what they care about most. And so they're okay, we have to get the book to stop stuff that was written by Thoth, the god of knowledge, right? And so they go to the library type place, which is Dijander's house, by the way, which is messed up in so many ways. And so they fly into there. Carter's able to change out of his bird form. Sadie is not. And so Carter has to take the lead of locating the book. So he brings out the clay sculpture. The clay sculpture helps him find it. And the minute he takes it, the alarm system goes basically off, and, fruit bats and all of that. They manage to escape, but then they're getting hunted down by magicians again. So they have to go to the Louvre, to another Egyptian center in the Louvre, in order to leave, right? So Carter helps fight the magicians off, while Sadie, of course, opens the portal. Carter and Bast helps, fight the magicians off. And she managed to open the portal, and then they land in Washington, D.C., which isn't exactly where they wanted to land, because they have to get to Arizona, and that's across the country. But it was the first thing Sadie really thought of. She just wanted to be in America. So she went to the highest, the closest tie to Egypt in America, which is, of course, I forgot what that place is called, the Washington Monument, yeah. And they land there. They decide to take a rest for a little bit of time. During the nighttime, Sadie, of course, flies off. Her body flies off to a new place, and she meets the goddess Nut, who is the mother of all of the gods that we're currently dealing with now. And so Nut informs her of the important role that she will have to play in guiding in order for Carter to become pharaoh, which is a big deal. And it's basically her role. And she doesn't initially like that that's the kind of role that she has to play. And she can't imagine her brother, her annoying brother, as the pharaoh, the new pharaoh of Egypt. But it's basically, she informs her that's the role that she has to play. And she asks her what the sacrifices she is willing to make in order to save the world, because it will be a hefty price to pay. And she also asked her to give a message to her husband, her love, Geb, right? And so she gives her a little letter, and she also gives her plane tickets to help her get to Thoth, because they're unable to read the book on how to kill or basically destroy Set, right? And so they have to go talk to the Egyptian god Thoth, who is currently in Memphis, Tennessee. And so she gives them plane tickets to that area. When they wake up, they realize the Set monster is coming after them. They're at the base. He's at the base of the mountain. And so the kids, of course, like Baz is like, I'll stay and fight him off for as long as I can. You guys go ahead and make your way to the airport. They make their ways to the airport. Sadie is once again unable to change from her bird form. Carter tries to calm her down, and because she's freaking out and she's gonna like freak out about the whole situation. Carter's trying to navigate through the airport. Of course, he's getting racially profiled every step of the way, and like Basta like joins them eventually and helps them get out of the situation, but the Set monster is there again, and Carter's the one that has to fight the Set monster and basically sends him off into the Duat, right? And then they get on the plane and then they go to Memphis, Tennessee. In Memphis, Tennessee, they see Khufu the baboon, which they hadn't seen since New York. Magically, he's there with a bunch of other baboons, which are really the symbol of Thoth. He loves his baboons. They meet and see Thoth, and Thoth is all like, I really don't want to help Isis and Horus. The last time I helped them, they were assholes and did all this stuff to me, and so he doesn't want to help them. But eventually, he's like, okay, as long as you prove to me that like you are like the gods are not controlling you and you are in control of yourself, then I'll help you. So he gives them a task to go to a magician who happens to be Elvis, is like casket or home or something, to collect some kind of item. While they're there, Carter gets turned into a lizard. Sadie has to come and save the day. They eventually collect the item and Carter's back into human form. They meet Thoth at a riverbank and he has a bunch of barbecue in front of them. And he's like, and they realize, the people that they were fighting in the place were clay machines that freaking Thoth made and all of this stuff. And so he went and so Thoth basically informs them that they're going to need the feather of truth from the land of the dead in order to complete the ritual to destroy Set. They're going to need Set's secret name, which is so easy to get, apparent. And then they're going to need the feather thingy. And so they get on the boat and they ride down. Oh, and at this point, they've already established that Bast is keeping a secret. They've realized that she was the one fighting chaos, the serpent spirit of chaos, and it wasn't Sekhmet as they originally thought, and that it was their mother trying to free Bast that basically caused the entire, their mother's death and all of this stuff. And Bast, of course, blames herself. She thought she was a coward and didn't act in a manner that was worthy of a goddess. And she thinks she's the reason their mother died. And they're just realizing more and more about their backstory and what is actually happening. So as they're sailing down, they have this little trial thing that they get over pretty quickly. And then they land to the land of the dead. And Osiris is, of course, missing because he's been captured. There is no leader of the gods currently. And of course, there's Anubis, who Sadie realizes is the cute guy she saw in the dreams, or she's seen in multiple dreams at this point. And he looks like a dog thing to everyone else, but he's like a normal teenage boy. They do a weird flotation thing, which I will talk about later. And she convinces him to giving her the feather of truth once he asks her whether or not she will save the world and at the expense of the death of her father. And she says that she would, and the feather doesn't kill her. So we know that that is the truth. And she's like, how could I say that? Blah, 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 blah. And, they promise to meet each other again. I will be discussing this later. And then we move on from here. And so they try, Carter at a point had some kind of message with Zia, and he agreed to meet up with Zia in New Mexico or Texas or someplace like that while they're on the road. And so because she has something to inform him, and there's something that she has to tell him, and of course he's smitten with her even though she's actively hunting him down. And so they go off and they meet with Zia. Also, we should talk about Carter's the night that Carter spent in Egypt, where he saw that Zia had released this ball of blue orb thingy into the air, and he found it so strange, and she didn't seem to know what he was talking about. And she also found out that Zia's her village had been destroyed by this monster that had been released into her village, and she was the only survivor. So the first gnome has been her only home, and Iskandar was a father to her basically, and he had just died and all of this stuff. And so basically that's what happens. And so they're on their way because they realize they need to find Nephthys at some kind of river. And so they go to a river in Texas, I think. And at this river in Texas, they get confronted by the god of crocodiles who almost kills Carter and Sadie, and ends up, drowning Bast and, Muffin and dragging her into the duat. And eventually, like, they end up defeating him and like because of Bast, I think. And then like Sadie passes out, and then Bast is just like Muffin now. Like Muffin is just there now. And then Carter is awake, but they end up meeting their uncle once more, Amos, which is weird because Carter has been having dreams that Amos has been sneaking into the pyramid, and everyone's low-key suspicious of Amos, and what's going on. And so he helps lead them to a new town. And which they meet Zia, and Zia warns them of Amos's, like, literally of that Amos is the avatar of Set, like is currently housing Set, and they're hesitant to believe that another one of their family could betray them after everything that they have gone through. And Dijondaire is there, he's hunting them down. Zia betrays the first gnome and has fire chase after Dijondaire, but like he releases Sekhmet or whatever, which is totally against the rules that he's saying that they're violating anyways, but he does it because he's petty and he's ridiculous. And basically that happens, and you have a situation where they're getting chased by the little goddess of like vengeance and wrath, who has a unquenchable bloodlust. And so they end up defeating her eventually by making her drink like a bunch of salsa, and they end up dragging her into like a cow form, a more tame cow form, as opposed to the lion form that she possessed prior. And then they're on their way once more to the pyramid. So all the while, Amos is acting kind of shady. Zia still believes that there's something like off about him. They do reach the pyramid eventually. Amos uses chaos magic in order to get them there, which is an indication that something is up. They turn into clouds. They see Set is there, and then there's this whole battle sequence eventually between Set and Carter and Sadie and Zia. Zia uses a lot of her magic, almost crumples and dies because of it, and like there's like a bunch of like back and forth going on, but ultimately Sadie is close to using the Feather of Truth and Set's secret name, which Zia told her, right? um, and basically they hold, like, she's about to do it, but then she realizes Set isn't the real villain here. Chaos is about to break out of the duat and rain terror in the world. So one of his little like monster sidekicks was being possessed by chaos itself, and he was trying to break into the world. And so he was just using Set's quench for power in order to do it. So they agreed to not kill off Set, and instead like just trap him and use him when it's time to eventually destroy chaos once more. And so, that happens. They realize that they can't save their father, and that their father ultimately is going to be the avatar of Osiris and live in the land of the dead. And, things eventually go back to semi-normal. They move back in with their uncle and live there. And Sadie also agrees to live in the house with her brother and live with her brother for the first time. Amos is not okay for weeks on end because he was not conscious that he was being possessed by Set. And so it's really taking a toll having his body kind of violated like that. And then he like eventually snaps out of it. But like Carter and Sadie meet with the other Egyptian gods, including that nasty crocodile god and all of that stuff that attacked them before. And they get like shouted as heroes, and they said like they helped fix up the mansion, and they helped bring Bast back. So Bast is now alive and kicking, and they also get to see their parents again. Their dad's in Osiris form, and their mom is living with their father in the land of the dead. Everything seems okay, except it is not, because chaos is definitely trying to come back. And one last thing, they're trying to recruit more members to the New York division of the House of Life. And they also agreed to remove their amulets and relinquish the power of Isis and Horus from their psyche. So the end. Let's start the discussion.
Okay, so I'm not going to be in here to discuss a lot because I'm still moving. So I leave y'all to speak amongst yourselves. That's why I have our lovely co-host here who will let people be speakers and all stuff. But I will say, like I always say, Sadie is 12. Just a reminder. That's all.
I think the very first lashing should go to the FOST, them nasty ass grandparents that these kids have. Oh, if
Nasty
I
ass
open
white people.
Nasty.
Start there.
Nasty.
Like, how are they
Racist.
racist to
Nasty,
their own
racist ass
grandson? That's
white people.
crazy.
Like,
just evil. Like,
where were
oh,
they
Both
January
your
6th?
grandkids are getting deported, and you're only worried about
Like,
Sadie.
ooh, don't make that. Like,
Like, where would Carter go? Where would Carter go?
they don't
they
They
didn't
care.
don't
even
care
Nowhere.
because they're
you
racist.
don't care about seeing him or nothing or nothing.
Don't even
Even
want
at
him
the
in
end
their
of the book, they
house.
didn't even
Like,
call to ask about him.
Like, it's ridiculous. Didn't defend him when the police were interrogating the hell out of him for no apparent reason. Like, didn't do any, like, didn't take their own grandchild in when he was orphaned because his mother died. Like, let's be serious.
We are moving past the fact that they didn't even want Carter and his dad to walk in the house
they didn't even want
when
them
they
in
came to pick
there.
Sadie up.
Like, whoa. Like, where were they January 6th?
Literally.
Like,
Where?
Cheating on their brethren across the street.
We need to search their internet history because it's giving QAnon. I'm sorry.
they absolutely
Like,
were
they got
looking for
Trump
flights to
flags.
DC. Like,
They got Trump flags on their windows, even though they're not in the same continent. Like, it's insane.
Like, it's giving racism.
A lot of racism. Like, where do we even begin? Like, I can't even. Mm.
Literally.
Also, they went to court for Sadie, which means they looked at Carter and went, yeah, no, we're not taking him. We're going for court for this one white child.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you can't even fight for custody for both?
The
You
thing
don't
that
want both?
Literally.
they
You want the
literally
one that
couldn't
looks like your
decide which
daughter.
father Carter went. Like,
You want the one that looks like your daughter.
the
right.
custody battle was dead serious. That's my thing. Like, it brought up, like, to the point of, like, violence. Like, their dad, like, got into an altercation with the grandparent. And I was like, they probably deserve that shit because I know there was a slur, like, right on their lips. I could feel it.
For sure. They would say it with a hard ER.
Exactly. They. Okay. Next round of lashings. Let's talk
Oh,
about Sadie Kane. I'm
oh my
sorry.
Oh,
goodness.
Lord.
That girl
All
did
right.
nothing
Listen,
wrong.
before
That
we
little
Not
get
too
girl
much
did
on
She
my
is
started,
a
nothing
sister.
wrong.
she is a
First
listen,
off,
minor.
listen,
She
before we
is a
get started,
minor.
Sadie
let me
Kane is a 12-year-old girl.
let me make the case
All
for Sadie.
12-year-old girls are annoying.
Let me make the case for Sadie.
Make
Listen,
the case.
my sister was raised by two racist European British. Okay? There was no way in hell she would have turned out normal. Let's get that on the road. Two, my sister was not only, she lost her mother and her dad. Okay, Carter at least got his daddy. She got her daddy twice a year. And three, she is 12. And she was going through an identity crisis. My sister do not deserve lashings. Okay? She don't deserve it. Sadie was annoying, but Sadie was 12. Okay? I've rest my case.
Listen, all that aside, Sadie Kane is annoying. I'm sorry. I'm
She's a
sorry.
menace to
She
Carter.
is, but she's my that's my sister. Like, I can't, not too much on her.
I
Anubis,
can
however,
acknowledge that Sadie
Anubis
would
lashing
also be like, Sadie's
incoming.
annoying
We
as a
could do
You
character.
see,
Anubis
Let's
the
do
lashings.
thing
another
about
flashing.
Sadie,
I'm
Anubis
sorry.
deserves lashings.
Every time
Like,
Sadie started talk, every time it was Sadie's chapter, I was like, "Oh my God, let's get back
listen,
to Carter. Let's get back to
I
Carter."
do love
Sadie,
Carter. I do
I
I
love
was
could never
trying
Carter.
to,
hate
I was
Sadie.
struggling to get through some of Sadie's
I
chapters. They
could
were a
never
little
hate her.
boring, unfortunately.
Sadie
Like, her
reminds me
But
of
attitude.
12-year-old me
it
told
was
me
fun
to hate
reading the
her.
accent.
It was.
it,
That was
it was
about it,
fun getting the
though.
little British accent.
Listen, it also didn't help that I kind of found because I was listening to the audiobook. It also didn't help that I kind of found the person reading it voice annoying. So,
So annoying. I also listened to the audio. I was like, oh my God.
like,
Why did they do this?
I fear it was a setup for Sadie from the beginning.
Listen.
Sadie.
I was struggling to get through some of those Sadie chapters. I was like, where's the good storyteller of the two? Listen, say my
Where
daughter.
is
Y'all
he?
not gonna do her like that,
I'm a
okay?
Carter
Nah, but
Where is he? No,
favorite thing.
Sadie,
And I fear
Carter
it
was
was
a better storyteller. I don't know.
Sadie was fighting for her life, okay? Like, leave my little girl alone.
Castle's getting hate crimes by the police, and she's out here being petty, going, "Oh, why won't they talk to me?"
First
Like,
of
what?
all, she's 12. Sadie's 12 years old. Like,
So
I
bad.
feel like
At least the only good part about that scene was that, like, at least she caught on to like what they were doing was like, oh, is it because he doesn't look like me?
And when
like,
she did, no, anytime Sadie caught on, motherfuckers was treating her brother different, she stepped up. I need y'all like to back up
True.
on that one. Back up. She's 12. Okay? We need to lash the Fawcett's. We need to lash her mama for having the audacity to bring them over there. We need to end the UK. Okay? No.
Do it. Do it. We
Go to war for
silence
Sadie.
United Kingdom voices. Listen,
No.
Now here I was like, I'm like, now why her mama being brought into it? She don't deserve no lash. She's
No.
dead.
No.
That's enough lashings she needs.
No,
She's
no.
dead.
Because
Dead
if
as
her
hell.
mama knew her parents was like that, why the hell was she bringing them around?
She wasn't. They lived in California. It's when she died that they
She
were
should
like,
have
"Oh,
not
it's time
been.
to save
She
the
went
white
the
girl."
furthest away she could.
Literally,
And
right?
then,
I'm
and then
sorry.
she died. The
If
daddy
Sadie get
fought hard
lashings,
for both.
why he would go and tell them, I have no
if
clue. Call
if
him on the
Sadie get
phone.
lashings,
Like,
her parents
yeah.
get lashed too.
He could have called them in California and been like, "You want to come to the service?" I'm like, I don't think
Wait, did she have a service? Was her body like?
her body burned up. I mean, like,
That's what
her
I'm
service
asking.
was
Wait,
no
I
body,
don't.
but
Oh my
like,
Was there a service?
She was melted or something.
I
There
don't think
might have.
so.
There
They
might have
could
been
have
like a
just
memorial.
They
I'll
could have
be
just
honest.
was cremated.
I think maybe they just had like you
A
know when
memorial, probably.
yeah when people die and people bring food around the house. That's it. They wasn't having.
I know they were just doing crazy microaggressions in that house, though. Like,
Literally.
no
This
one was
is
safe.
why
Like, I'm
Sadie's hair
sorry.
is
Wait a
like
minute.
that.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
putting
Mama,
Sadie
they
putting
had.
Sadie in the attic was the microaggression.
You see,
Oh
She
yeah.
couldn't even stand up fully in her own bedroom.
That was kind of bad.
Like,
It's given Harry Potter.
the moment she got there, you know they put a perm in her hair. They were not going to do
let me tell you
that.
something. My
Listen,
sister
Like,
had to go
Sadie's
on a
hair
natural hair
is
journey.
fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Like,
absolutely.
Oh, poor
well,
Sadie. Sadie didn't know how to do her hair.
they don't know what they're doing with her
They
hair.
don't even. I'm
And her
sorry.
whatever.
They
They let
don't even have a white tooth comb at that house. Like,
her just frizzy. Her just frizzy.
Sadie said her mom was, or not her mom, her grandma was always bringing the food. Imagine how much she burned her hair.
no, no.
Oh,
Sadie saying them people can't cook. Rick was so real for that because you know them people over there don't know how to cook. The British, they was having her eat beans and toast.
Like
They be
how
eating
you not
anything
know
over
how to make
here. It's
cookies?
insane.
It's bad for my sister. It's bad.
like they burned
Listen, I
stone.
fear Sadie had the odds stacked against her. First of all, being raised by her white grandparents in
Like she
Britain.
was set up from the beginning, and we're laughing her. No,
Listen,
it all falls back on those
I
white
fear that
people.
there was no way Sadie wasn't gonna come out of this a little bit annoying. You know?
Like, Sadie get on my nerves. She do, but I can't be
She's
lashing.
going through a
Listen,
growing phase.
I can't lash Sadie in public. That's family.
That's true.
Like,
Okay.
I can't lash Shady without saying I was
She's
also
12.
a 12-year-old girl. Like, you go through phases.
Okay. I
Like,
was
I'll
a little
lash her,
shit when I
but
was 12. I was terrible. Oh my God.
Me too. I was annoying.
I was awful. Like,
Listen, I think next person that should definitely get lashings, Anubis. I've been waiting for
Anubis,
this for
why are you
6
going
Like,
after a
why are you
minor?
3,000
You are
flirting with a
3,000
12-year-old?
years old. Yeah.
I got a question
Like,
though.
let's start there.
My
Let's
question,
start.
the thing with Anubis, is he like 3,000 years old, but he 3,000 years old, like a vampire? Or is he
No,
like
like
3,000
he's
years
3,000
No,
years
he's
old,
3,000
changes his
years
form
old.
to look like a 16-year-old boy.
it's just as
First
freaky as
off,
the
You could
ghost
But
you
from
could
but
probably
he's
Glee.
like
old.
you could
First
probably
off, the
compare
first
it
red
But like that
flag
to
literally
is that
says that
he's
he did
6.
not look human. He
you
had
can
a scar.
you can compare it to Artemis from Percy Jackson. Like
True.
they're old as hell, but they decide to choose to look young.
You know what? I
Weird.
lash Artemis too. I got to lash Anubis. You kind of, what's that nigga name from To Catch a Predator? Chris Henson? Chris Henson? I got a new job for you.
Listen,
I'm
I
probably
fear that ship is a product of its time because it was like right in there when like supernatural things were real popular, and so did like the vampires and the werewolves that were like way too old to be messing around with high school girls. were like dating 17-year-olds.
I mean, no, sometimes when I'm reading it, it's cute. And then I remember how, like, he's 3,000 years old. And I'm like, why?
I gotta
They
be in a certain mindset to read that.
like her age. It wouldn't even have been that serious or something. Like it really, y'all really couldn't do that.
We need Sadie to go out in the real world and get a better boyfriend.
Exactly.
Okay, and we need Chris Henson to show up with that man.
Literally,
Like
it was weird.
Handsome sweeping the mythological dating world.
Listen, I think that'll make Chris Hansen quit his job.
I'm telling you,
Ain't none of your
because Zeus
faves
would be the
safe.
first person
None
he
of your
goes to.
faves are safe.
listen, Zeus. We leave those lashes for the next
Zeus
week.
has a woman poster in every continent.
Zeus has an FBI's most wanted poster. Like,
International
whoa.
terrorist.
Every watch list imaginable.
It's
He's
bad
banned
for
from
him.
most countries.
Literally, can't even
Zeus
step foot.
gone.
It's like
Anubis
I want to
gone. Artemis gone. Apollo gone.
Wait. Oh yeah. You know, I ain't gonna lash Apollo. That one I'm gonna have to just look away. I'm sorry.
Me
That's
too.
the king right
Why
there.
are
I'm
you
sorry.
just averting our
That's
eyes
my
from
father.
Apollo?
I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Depending on how much I like the god, I'm gonna look away of all the bullshit they do.
Me too.
Same. Me too.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know I'm a Hermes defender.
Me
Hermes.
too. Hermes, that's my baby.
Hermes' favorite deadbeat. I'm sorry. I'm
Me too.
sorry.
I love Hades. I can't, like,
Me
he's so
too. I
stupid,
am.
but I love him.
Me too.
I'm a
I
Hades.
love Hades.
I don't care that he was mean to Nico. Nico deserves it sometimes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa.
Nah,
You know, that's
Nico does
family.
deserve
We don't
it.
lash him in public.
Nico just needs a little bit of discipline.
Nico gets his lashings behind closed doors. First off.
Oh, yeah.
First off. Like, whoa. Not
Keep
here.
in the family. Don't let outsiders hear this stuff.
Okay, y'all. Let's
Okay.
get.
Same with Annabeth. Like, we don't do that. Like,
So, like, did they ever explain why Anubis looked like a dog to everyone else, but like that to Sadie? Or was it just because he wanted to?
No,
I
it's
wanted to flirt with her.
past glamours. You know, she has special powers. Like the reason why she's able to read hieroglyphics, the reason why she was able to see like what the palace actually looked like in comparison to what everyone else saw and things like that.
Not gonna lie, that cracked me up when Carter was all like, "He's ugly as shit." What you talking about? The thing was,
Like, Carter was
Listen,
asked
Carter
was
if
all
he
like,
was good looking. Carter was like, he's
You're
okay.
disgusting.
Wait, speaking of Carter and Zia, I see
That's
the
Black
vision.
King.
I see the vision.
I like
I
that.
see the
Black King
vision.
right there.
It's so adorable. I love it so much.
I love
Oh my
him.
God! When he said he was
Now
gonna
wait,
take us to the
wait.
mall, I was like,
I was confused on the age of Zia. What's her age again?
Carter,
Isn't she the same as him?
I thought she was. I think she's 15. I could be wrong.
In my,
but-
Okay,
she might
I might have like
15.
glanced over it. I forgot.
Didn't her village die like a long, long time ago and Iskander saved her? So I don't know her age.
I don't know. In my head, she's 15. That could be completely wrong, but like mentally, I decided she was 15.
The second
I'm
I
just
heard,
searching it
I'm gonna
up. Hold
take
up.
you to the mall.
Oh,
She's 15.
she's
I thought
17.
Oh, she's 17.
How old is Carter?
14.
14. Finna be
She's
15.
You know what? She's 15 in my head. We gonna keep that 15.
Yeah,
Wait,
right.
is it
We gonna keep it 15. We
Keep
is
gonna
it
it
seven?
serious
Is it
as a
17 in Red Pyramid or 17 like end of the series?
Let me check. I think that this is end of the series. How old is she in the first book?
What year does this book even take place in?
Lord only knows. It's like 20.
2011 or 2010? One of them, right?
I think 11. I don't know.
Okay. I know we're gonna be that. Rick put his foot in this book. No wonder the Lost Hero was shit. Like
It was
It was good.
the mythology. I was
Rick had something to prove going into this book.
the
He had to
Egyptian.
prove
let
he
me
could
tell
write
you.
more than Greek mythology.
The Lost Hero sold 2 copies in a dime. Okay, he was crying and throwing up, and he had to think of so quick.
They were coming to repossess his house. He needed to get the money
Like
quick.
The
lied
person's
to
exit checks
his
were not
house.
clearing.
Zia is 14 in the first book.
Okay.
Oh, we're
Got
good.
it.
No,
I checked again.
Yeah.
Also, the book was released in 2010, so around that's the time period.
wait, what's the uncle's name?
Uncle
Amos.
No, when he was all like the Greeks ain't shit, I was like, I know that's right.
Yeah.
I know that's
He was
right.
like,
He's
they
like,
got
speak on
their own
it.
problems.
Speak on it.
No, I was like, yes, okay.
don't go to that side of the river.
When
I
I
was like, this is
No,
ghetto.
our father
Yeah,
was
he
like,
said
we
he
don't.
said it's the
We
ghetto.
don't
We don't want to go
associate
there.
with them.
like he was kind of real for being like we don't engage in that white people mess. Like
No, every time they brought up fedora, I was like, stop making me think of Neo. We like, let's do new hats. I can't do the fedora shit. Like, I really can't.
Not a
fedora are a
fedora.
fashion choice nobody should make.
Absolutely not.
Amos distracting Set by singing Miss Independent.
I'm so done. Wait. Okay, can we actually talk about the lore of this book? Because it was so good. Like, the reveal that Dia was actually a clay
When
caricature
she
and
was
not an
Oh,
actual
he
person.
gagged you a bit.
Shanti, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
And she
that's
clicked.
what
Yeah.
Oh, I was gagged.
No,
I was like, are y'all serious?
And
We
my
were
jaw dropped.
this whole time?
Rick
Like,
loves the red hair.
I got to that part
he
at
does
12 in the
look
morning.
red
I
hair.
was just,
No,
I
that's
had
why.
to put the book down.
That's
Like,
why
I'm
I
scared
needed
when
the.
Carter actually finds her. Is she gonna remember this? Like, does she actually have the memories of her fake self
That's
the
what I
entire
think
time?
would be
Now I
Yeah,
need.
I
Like,
think so.
He does
Because,
have
like,
the
don't they,
memories
like,
because the
project
blue light was be
things to,
sending
like, who
back to
created
her.
them?
Yeah.
Because they project things to the person that like, sent them, right?
My thing is,
Yeah,
they
but does
So
it?
she does have a
actually
memory
know
of it,
Dia.
so she knows that it happened. She's like, oh,
But
okay.
does it
They
project to the
said
goddess?
that she was sending the
possessing
memories
her?
back from the beginning because when she was walking with like that invisibility cloak, he saw like a blue ball fly from her back to the real Zia, but he didn't know it was going to the real Zia.
Yeah. And there were hints that that was the case because of the things with like thought and when they were sent to like
I really want you to know
Elvis's
it's pronounced
house.
Thoth.
yeah,
Oh
Thoth.
yeah.
It's pronounced Thoth.
tough.
You
Tough.
have
I would come to
I
thought
can't
things.
no more.
While we're talking about pronunciations, it's pronounced Desjardins. That's the villain, Desjardins.
We should have really started off with pronouncing all these things.
Oh,
I
We
can't
needed
pronounce
we
anything.
needed some type of like little dictionary in the
We
back of
need
the
a
book,
glossary.
footnotes, something. Like I was lost as hell. I just read his name and kept going.
I
Also,
was reading.
I saw someone in the tag say that Nut is actually pronounced Newt.
I gave them nicknames. Like, I just didn't read their names anymore because I couldn't say it.
I don't think it's actually pronounced Snoop because Sadie lost her
In
mind.
the
She was like,
audiobook it's
not the nutcase.
Is
Oh
it
yeah.
pronounced Nut? Okay.
yeah, in
I
the
don't
audio.
know.
okay.
She was like,
Here's my.
not like the nutcase, and she thought she was so funny,
She
disrespecting
really
the
thought she was
nuts.
funny.
Hey, nut joke.
Okay, here's my thing. Desjardins is a loser. A literal,
Why is he beefing with 12
a
girls? Like, what's
literal
wrong with this man?
loser. I sat here gagged the entire time. He was dead set on killing these children. Dead set. How are you gonna release Sekhmet? Release Sekhmet. Violate your own principle, your own rules.
Every time he came on, all I could think of, he came on this bitch mad as hell.
He came on with all the
Just
energy and did
angry,
nothing.
spitting
Come on,
everywhere
this
like
bad as hell was something
No,
too.
he's my
red
bestie
in the
for that
face, a
one.
loser.
How's
First,
he
we
slicing
just
kids
chief
and losing
left
every
her.
time?
Okay,
He got a complex
First, because
against like
chief left her
against his
using his
family.
blessings.
Y'all
Like
almost really be
literally.
wearing fedoras. Like it's pissing me off.
oh, we're back to the
We
fedora.
don't.
No, not only is he wearing,
No,
not only is he
no.
wearing the fedora,
You
but he
guys
has
are
the
thinking
dreads
he
just
has
like
to
the
get
women
a
A
do.
kid.
fedora in his
Yeah.
head, so
Listen, I picture him as a
It was the
reasonably
20s.
attractive
We all
man.
made questionable fashion choices.
you know
We
what?
so
Like
from.
the
Almost
fedora
took
and
You're
the
the
trench
Gentleman
coat.
seriously.
I cannot take him serious. I'm sorry.
You know, I'm gonna blame it on it being the 2000s. You know,
That
it was
all
them
made
bitches was
questionable
not
fashion
dressing.
choices.
No. It was 2011. Rick knew better,
That's
and he
worse.
still did it.
No.
No,
Look
I,
up 2011 to 2015
11.
fashion.
Nah, the
Right.
fedoras were there.
I fear he was on trend with that fucking fedora. The fedoras and the skinny scarves, like
The
shit, like that was on trend.
You
business
know
casual.
what? You're
Business
not
casual.
wrong. I just want to
There.
deny it. Like, oh.
Okay, them millennials were doing business casual to the
Business
clubs.
casual
I'm
in the club.
telling you.
First of all, let's start about how me dress business casual in the club. I take it to the grave. They were posting it on Twitter, and I was like, I'd never let a soul see these pictures.
You know what? I was happy they showed them. So now we have material. Okay, whenever they bring up the Gen Zs, y'all was in the clubs looking like you were going
Dressing
to the
like
office.
secretaries, like y'all finna go for defend a PhD.
Not
Also, can we just
incompatible
talk
between the
about
Steve Harrington obituary. Anyways. Lord.
Can we talk about how Rick needs to write a master class on how to start a book?
Oh,
Literally.
Does it great.
Absolutely.
His openers are so good. Like, it really draws you in so quickly.
no, I was fearing for my life for those kids. Like,
Literally.
Too. They look
by halfway in the book, I was like, how are they going to survive? Like, I know they have to because it's 2 books, but it was looking like it's bad for them. It's real bad for them.
Symmetry in the pyramid is really what scared me.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
oh my God.
The
I
pyramid
thought to myself,
scenes had me stressed out.
the reveal that Amos, of course, was housing Sat, we been knew,
no,
but
thank you. I
still.
knew he wasn't really evil only because that man loves a red herring. I was all like, ain't
He
no
does.
fucking way. Ain't no fucking way that man's evil.
He does
See,
love.
the thing that
He
really got to me was the reveal,
misdirect. One thing
like,
about what gonna do with misdirect.
the reveal that Sat wasn't even the real villain.
Oh, that gagged me.
Gagged.
I was
Like, Set's
shocked.
just a petty, angry guy.
Yeah. Like, there was a hint with that little minion that he had that was, like, talking a little too much. Like, I was
Yeah.
like,
I'm
something
sorry.
else is going on here. But I wasn't, like, it's been years since I read the book. I wasn't
Like, that
expecting
did
that
not
shit at
fully
all.
put me off of Set as the villain. Like, at all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know we moved on, but everybody please look at what.
The pasteurification of Amos.
Listen, leave him alone.
Same slick back ass. Like,
It's giving. It's you know what this look like?
It's going on the.
You know when this looked like 2000s NBA drafts with the big suits and everything.
the suit that's
It's
arguably
the
too large.
pinstripe vest that's really getting me. Like,
Okay, he looked like someone's pimp. This is terrible.
Slick back ass.
the beads.
A bunch of people are saying they didn't get to
The
finish
beads
the
in the
book.
hair seals.
Me neither.
Like,
He really didn't have any other options, and that's what's killing me. Like,
Well,
you
it
got a
did
trench
not
coat
have
and a
so
fedora on standing under the tree.
The fedora's what's
Bro.
the fedora's what I can't take my eyes off of. Like,
It's the fedora
oh,
and then
wow.
like the beads in the hair. Like,
like what a combination.
Let me tell you something. He looks like a pimp that was marching on Washington. Okay, like
My imagination
Not
tried so hard to
marching.
make him handsome. It didn't work.
okay. He take his hat off and he said, "Good morning, ma'am." Every woman he sees, like, oh my God,
tears
it's
in
bad
my
for
eyes.
him.
Like, almost, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to be.
You had no business putting that picture up.
No, like, I went to the damn. I went to the fandom page, and those are that was one of the first pictures on there. I was like, oh. The
Oh, wow.
suit, the fedora.
Man, I can out.
You
That's
see,
not right.
Like, Rick set him up so bad.
I feel so bad because that's a good man. He was out here just trying to save his little niece's nephew.
Really.
He
And
can't
his
fight for
brother,
shit. Like, he
like,
lost.
He was doing the best with the tools he was given. It was fashion.
He
I
was
Rick
feel
was
fighting
about
so
his
nasty
life.
for describing him like this. Like, why would you do that
At
to
the
him?
time, Rick had just seen Twilight. He saw LaRon's hair. She said, "I'm gonna fly this year."
No,
He wanted that Twilight money.
you know the sick part is he went into detail describing this man. Like he made sure you knew how he looked.
Like, wait, there's another one. Hold on.
Is it
like
Mikey?
it's kind of nasty because Amos didn't look nothing like that in my head.
Y'all, why did
picture
Fedora
Amos
not really
as
fit
a-
on his head in this one? Hold on.
Listen, I ignored that description because in my head he's this fine looking man.
Absolutely.
Not
I tried
this.
to make him fine too.
Ugly ass clothes. It's not his fault. Y'all, please look at what I just put up. Hold on.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh
It's
my
so
god!
bad for him.
Oh my god!
Okay, you know what he looks
Listen.
like? He looks like an anime villain.
He does.
He does.
Listen,
Okay.
if Amos showed up like that and was your lawyer, just know you going to jail.
Let me tell you, he's gonna have you doing
The way
10
we
years
just
for a
stopped talking
parking
about the
ticket.
book and we just clowned this man. Oh, Amos, I'm so sorry.
You never getting out of prison with Amos.
I forgot to put you under
Like,
the
you
jail.
go to jail for life.
Sir, I ran a red light. Jail, life.
You getting
The
the life
lawyer
sentence.
takes one
this
look at
man
his
is your
fedora
lawyer.
and you're gone.
Like,
Oh
The
wow.
glasses and the fedora that looks too small for his head. Is really
Let
what's
me tell you
getting me.
something. Amos asked you to pay him in cash.
On top of them braids, like
Like,
it's
it's
not nowhere near
not
it.
touching the sides. Like, oh, I can't. Okay.
The fan art makes him look like he has a fat head and his braids like hanging on by a thread. Like,
Listen,
That
hella
hat is
confusing and
we
hanging
should
everything.
on
start
for
off by
dear
saying
life.
the
That hat is
proportions
being
of
held
his
on by the
head to
sweat on his
body
forehead.
ratio is off. His head to body ratio.
You know, isn't today Stevie Wonder's birthday, or was that yesterday?
That's evil.
It's fitting, you know.
Wow!
No, you didn't.
Me,
So foul.
This turned into us clowning Amos.
why Amos get more laughings than anyone else? That was a good man.
The
He
poor
just
guy's a
kept it
victim
straight.
too
He
and was
did
ripping
nothing
apart.
wrong.
Amos was trying his best.
He
You
tried
know,
his
let's
best
get-
with the tools he was given and the clothes that he chose out. That's not.
Let's
Amos,
pivot. We gotta
Amos
pivot.
looking like this is why we need black people in the writing.
Back to Anubis. Quick, wait. Back to Anubis.
Pivot.
No,
Gotta
this
pivot.
is back to Isis and Oris.
Who else could we?
Oh my God, let's
Come
talk about
on.
Carter. Let's bring
I
put
think
this back on a positive note.
you know.
Carter is my favorite Kane sibling. I think him and Percy would be great friends.
Carter, that's a Black King.
Oh yeah.
That's a Black King.
Okay. The Adventures of Percy Jackson and Carter Kane.
I'd read it.
It'd be something. Like, how did they
Like,
survive
where's the
that?
short story? Who's
Listen,
gonna write
what?
the AO3
When he
fan
fought-
fiction?
When
Like,
Carter was fighting at airport and like we got his commentary, I was like, oh yeah, him and Percy would be great.
No.
Him and Percy would be joined
Also-
at the hip. Like,
I knew.
Wait, not him calling the monster Leroy.
like, I'm gonna name him Leroy.
Now, where Rick get that name from?
And you can't take this child seriously, but he's out here killing monsters.
No.
Like, isn't?
I knew Carter was my favorite when they stepped up to that old man and he said, "You're really old." Like
that's my
that
like,
mouth,
that's
that
my
filter,
nephew.
just not there.
The best characters don't have any anything between their brain and their mouth. They just say anything.
Okay.
But listen, they kept on trying to clown Carter in his book, and I was like, y'all don't do Carter like
No, because why would they try to clown his fashion sense when Amos dresses like that? First off.
No.
literally.
First off.
Carter was just trying to be a good young Black
A little
gentleman, and
button up.
Sadie's terrible ass.
Like,
World with systemic racism, and Sadie kept on coming for him.
No, I'm not even gonna hold you. Every time they
Every
mention
2
Carter, I
seconds.
was all like, he dressed like Carlton from The Fresh Prince. It's
He
bad for him.
Does.
Okay.
That's not his fault, though. That's not his fault. Because
it's very much LA suburb private school outfit. Chic.
It is.
Like, it's
No,
not
I
his
knew
fault.
he was my favorite
And Carter
because he
didn't
was
want
a
to dress
picky
like that.
eater.
His,
He really
Julie
wears
had
like
him
slacks
dressing
and
like that.
loafers at 14 though, and that's really what's killing me. Like, oh,
I'm sorry, his fits give big Carlton energy. Okay, that's still not.
Julius had him in oh my god, like in private
had
school chic.
in-
That's awful.
Julius had him preparing for the courtroom at 12, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay.
Like, it's fine.
Julius knew he was traveling around with the little black boy. He was trying to do his best.
He had to improvise where he saw fit. It's
Yeah.
okay though.
He was like, "You just got to dress like me. We don't have time to go to history."
Every time someone tried to offer Carter food and it wasn't like something well cooked, he wouldn't eat. That's when I knew he was my favorite.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
Maggie thought
It's
of
okay.
recipes du jour once.
I was reading like the comments on like the reviews on the book. Tell me why one of them said critical race theory ? And it was like, I'm on one of the first pages of the book, and why does it say that he has to dress up like a certain way because he's an African American, because people will judge him? Who will judge him? Is this woke liberal BS in my children's novel? I was
Please wait. I need a link to this review now. Like,
Bro,
Hold on.
Please,
This was written in 2012,
Out loud.
2010.
that book was written
whoa.
a literal decade ago. Like, be serious.
Mind you, this was literally like a recent review. Like
Recent.
Yes.
Oh, that's
And
not.
year.
Brought up.
He said he's not telling his grandparents to read this, like grandchildren to read this series anymore. Like he banned it from his grandchildren.
Serious.
He's
That
giving
was
it
weird.
stars.
Kinda deep.
You know that person was typing mad as hell too when he saw that. Oh my
Like,
god, is
First of
that
all,
that
I want to
serious?
listen. Unserious. Unserious.
This was just a little cute Egyptian book, and now critical race theory.
whoa.
First of all, this was written by a white man.
Exactly.
Calm down.
Exactly. A white man who does questionable things sometimes.
You gotta
Like,
side
why
eye,
is Harriet Tubman the
please,
child of
No.
God?
please, please.
Like, first
All
off,
gonna be free.
Rick has
Why
written some
Ellen the
questionable shit.
magician?
First off, like, putting that aside, is not like critical race theory is really what's killing me. Like, that's really what's getting me.
Because to start off, these are biracial children.
One of which is white passing. Like,
Like, Rick
why
is doing the
y'all?
bare minimum. Why are they stressing like this?
I'm
Rick
sorry,
said
I
I'll make
can't.
him bad at basketball and call it a day.
I
Right.
just burst out laughing.
He
Rick
said,
said,
I'm not
No,
gonna
"How
go
do
with
I
the
be?"
because
stereotypes.
no.
Literally
Because why am I just
trying to
realizing that
ask
Carter
you the
got
right
beat at basketball by
thing.
monkeys? Like, whoa, wait a minute.
No.
No,
I don't think we
sometimes
got
I
that
did
one through,
I had to
but
stop myself from thinking too hard. I was like, let me not.
I
no.
don't think we
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that one through
I've
all the
seen
way, but
them
that's
kind of
okay.
Bro,
Wait,
I don't know. I don't think he intended it that way, but now I'm seeing it.
no,
No,
no.
because like,
Like,
but
I can't unsee it now.
baboons
He
are
got a bunch
important
of
in
baboons,
like
really.
they're important in
They're
Egyptian
very important.
culture. But like while reading the book, I had to stop myself from thinking too
Because
hard.
it's
I was
like,
like,
why?
he
let
Why
me
does
said.
not
this
go there
baboon
because that's
have
not
a
how
Kobe
it was
jersey on? Like,
written.
what's going on?
Rick
It
said,
was
"I'm
like
gonna
very
break
much a
a stereo."
double-sized sword. If he made him good at basketball, we would have been
He,
mad. If he
no,
made
he
him
said,
bad,
"I'm gonna break a stereotype, but I'm gonna bring one back." Okay, it's
Like,
like
he was like, I gotta put one
PEMDAS.
and play
It
the
cancels
other.
out.
He was like, you can't have both. Pick
You
one.
can't have both.
It's gotta be neutral. He can't go too
Okay.
far either direction.
No, but
No, but listen, that basketball scene kind of nasty. Why was Carter getting beat like that? Like I was embarrassed
no,
for
no,
my
no.
son.
I was
Just
humiliated.
make him good. You didn't need to do
You
that.
know when you're so embarrassed, you gotta close the book. I had to
Exactly.
close the book
I just
because
walked
I
away
was
for
all
like
The fact
like,
10
that
minutes.
people was mad at him. Oh my god.
And Sadie wasn't. Sadie was no
Say,
help.
you see, Sadie's terrible like that. Just the younger sibling that ain't shit. Okay, I could speak on that because I'm that younger sibling that ain't
Yeah,
shit.
same. I was about to say I'm offended, but I am that younger sibling.
it was crazy because Cafu didn't even forgive him till the very end of the book.
You see, no, that little monkey, they should have thrown him off the boat a few times because he was speaking real nasty to those
He
kids.
was. He was kind of
Okay,
talking reckless. Talking reckless.
and he only eats things with O's. Sir, you are a monkey.
Eat a banana and
No,
move
no,
on.
because my question is, you should not be that like aware of your palate.
Like,
You
how can
eat
you
what they
read?
give you.
How do you hear the O's? How do you read?
That's a great question. How does he know this food ends with an O? Can't
Like,
even spell.
You see,
Because
you see.
like he
Tate
knows, like he
combined with the God of
understands that, and
Latin.
I'm like, who taught you this?
And this was a joke and it went too far when he started eating flamingos.
Oh, that little monkey, you gotta put him somewhere. Mm-mm. Why is that monkey house trained?
His
Literally.
patron God
No,
trained him.
like you see, this the bullshit that we gotta get on Amos for. Him and his fuck ass coat and his monkey.
Leave the monkey alone. That's what I heard.
No,
Nah, the monkey's bullying the kids. Like,
no. You
we
see,
need to discipline.
we gotta bully the monkey back. Okay, for what he did to
Like, how do
Carter.
you do this?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, how do you treat my son like this?
Oh
Very,
wow.
very wild. Very wild. I've read some reviews. I lost in the sauce. Like, be serious.
How can Carter be that bad at basketball? How
I,
can he be that bad at basketball?
I feel
Like,
like
I feel like that's a
basketball
big.
is a hard sport, but you
now,
playing against
listen.
monkeys. Like,
Now,
I'm,
to give no,
Work
listen.
together.
I gotta
They can
defend my
get
child.
anything.
Carter has been traveling all around the world. He ain't had time for nobody to teach him how to play basketball.
you see, that's where we gotta drag Julius. Why
But
didn't you take
Julius
him to a
didn't play.
park?
Listen,
Carter
He
had
showed
no
this
type
boy
of
games and
visibility.
stats, but he can't play.
Why didn't you
because
take Carter to a park? Julius?
Like,
Okay.
like this is on Julius.
it's Julius's favorite sport and he didn't even teach his son. Like, neglectful parenting. You could
Come
be
on, serious.
battling
Be
one child
serious.
in London with racist grandparents,
Is
and he has the
Julius
other
good
one
at
know nothing.
basketball?
Probably
I
fucking
assume
not.
he is. Now let's talk about Carter, because Carter had no type of stability. Homeschooled by his dad,
And his
moved
dad
from
was not
place to
teaching him
place,
shit.
moved
Living
from
out of
place
a
to place.
carry-on suitcase.
Carry on suitcase. No type of friends and connections. That
Him,
had to be low. He's 14.
I feel like we gotta drag Julius for that. Like that is big bad father energy. Why are you having your son live out of hotel rooms and weird shit keeps happening and you just
With
brushed it
no,
off?
and he just won't talk about it.
Brushed it
Al-
off. You fucking got a bunch
Also,
of
is
Julius.
sorry. Is Costa smart, or does he just know a lot about Egyptian mythology?
No, he's
Like,
smart.
He's smart.
where is he graded in like regular high school level?
That was my question also, because he keeps on moving from continent to continent, place to place. So there's no standard of curriculum, just vibes.
I
So
feel like Carter's smart in the sense like you put him anywhere, he be alright.
I know
Okay,
yeah,
Carter's a
fair.
smart kid.
Like,
I know
can
Carter's a
Carter
smart kid
pass an
because when
algebra
Sadie
test?
answered,
probably not.
Like he won't
I know
Can
pass
Carter
Carter's
an
a
tell
smart
you
algebra
about
kid
test
because
Egyptian
or
when
anything.
Sadie
mythology?
tried to answer a
Yes.
Yes.
question and she got it right before him, he got so mad.
Like I
Listen,
give
Carter's so real for that, because I would too.
Yeah.
no. Whenever Sadie was doing her little like seer shit and Carter got mad, I was like, I know that's right. Okay,
Right.
because
Like, I get it. Like,
I'll
as an
be
older
damned.
sibling, I get
Yeah,
it.
I'd be damned if my fucking sister knows something I don't.
Right.
Also, Costa
Okay,
does all the research. She just came in knowing this stuff for no reason. Like I'd be pissed too.
Did y'all hear me drink? I'm so sorry. I thought I was myself.